Howdy. Hold up, I thought you agreed to not create your own opening catchphrase since that Mirror's Edge video. Well, I changed my mind. Hey Gordon, I hope you're not pissed at me after that incident.
I'm not. I'm just worried about Lauren.
Make yourself at home. He is still working, but he'll come back shortly. So, this is Vincent's home. I thought you were a major weeb, but this guy is on a whole other level. He's quite the Japanophile to say the least. Oh, speaking of which, we've planned to eat out in this great Japanese restaurant in Hell's Kitchen. Just hope your legs don't fall asleep. While we wait, I'm just gonna chill and play something. You can use my deck if you want. I've been playing some game called Nightmare Kart. I can take this. This is not me chasing clout, I swear! Oh great, it's the kart racer. No, not a racing game with go-karts in it. I mean the Mario Kart clones. Racing with power-ups, drift button, bullshit rubber banding tactics, and all that. So why not review that kind of racer from this current year? After all, I'm trying to get that Paw Patrol game out of my fucking system. Lilith Walter, or is it Bunlith Walter? Let's not. It's a trans game developer that just seemingly came out of nowhere when she decided to make a remake of From Software's Bloodborne, looking and playing like a PS1 game. Her previous game was an archery game for PC and Android, but Bloodborne PSX made more of a splash. Now, I only played like 5 minutes of the original Bloodborne in a game shop almost a decade ago, so I'm very clueless about any of this. Yeah, it's that old. Doesn't help that it's exclusive to the PS4, which I don't have, and even then, I'm not interested in Souls-likes. Look, I talk about races most of the time, so here's the next game she did. Bloodborne Kart started as an April Fool's joke during the development of BPSX, but it got turned into an actual thing, just like Doug Huggum. However, when it was nearing its supposed January 2024 release, Sony came in to tell her not to use the IP for a fan game, or risk getting sued. Wait, I thought FromSoft made it. Sony owns the IP. Ah, fuck. It's giving me shade to Nintendo wanting any related content of the Gmod Workshop removed. I don't care much about their games, but still. So yeah, Lilith and her mates went and delayed the game to scrub anything related to Bloodborne and be its own legally distinct game, now going by the more generic sounding Nightmare Kart. And yet Bloodborne PSX got away scot-free. It finally got released on itch.io on May 31st, 2024, with a Steam release a few days later. And it's completely free, so no need to feel guilty of paying for it. After a few logos, here's a nice title screen with the character shown, as well as an ominous voice when you press start.
Nightmare Kart.
Very Resident Evil-y, and it's followed up by a nicer main menu, which is simple in execution, but features a rotation of characters literally spotlighted, including this guy with a birdcage for a helmet. Let's start the campaign, where I can only stick with a cart or a bike for a while, but I think the latter is cooler, so I went with that. The campaign starts with this tutorial on how the controls work, but I'll explain later. It's actually a great tutorial area, which changes as you learn more. I like it. Then we get to the campaign proper. The Good Hunter wakes up in Dreamland around some people, notably the wheelchair-bound Herman and his automaton servant Ornette, which you might recognize as German and the Plain Doll. As expected for an used-to-be fan game, the plot and characters take a lot of cues from Bloodborne, but because I never properly played it, I'm not gonna go all Rick Dante on this stuff. The first race is an easy one, where you ride around the clockwise oval speedway, and this gets me to the presentation. The graphics have a retro look to it, emulating the PS1 look somewhat to a T. There's the warping, the dithering, and the pixelation, which I find charming. I always love when game devs emulate the console's graphics, even if some games tend to exaggerate some aspects like the warping. I play many 3D PS1 games in my life, trust me. You can disable all the PS1 effects and make it look like an old PC game from 25 years ago, but that defeats the purpose. I will say that I don't like the CRT overlay, which you can thankfully turn off. It's fun to mess around with this effect, and I actually do like how great the VCR stuff look if you crank it up, but I find them distracting in gameplay. If I want to play like that, I just buy a CRT monitor. The models in the scenery are good looking and aesthetic pleasing as well. Some could look goofy even with the PS1ness of it all though, like this werewolf. I've seen better werewolves in Nightmare Creatures, but this isn't a very serious game. I mean, it's Bloodborne as a car racer, you think I'd complain too much? Sound design is great too. It of course has that lo-fi audio that's pretty common in PS1 games, and I welcome that. There's voice acting, yay! They did a great job of training their characters.
Can you hear them? The snarls of filthy beasts. Beasts who must be hunted. Beasts who must be slaughtered. It's only a matter of time until you become one.
You must be confused. But try not to think too hard about all this. Just go out and win a few races, and it'll all be over before you know it.
Ah, yes. The architect. Do you not hear our pleas? We should not awaken from this nightmare.
Oh, I know very well. The sweet sounds of secrets whispered in your ear. There is only one cure for a hunter as intoxicated as yourself.
I wonder who voiced them. Hey, I recognize some of these names. Susie Hunter, Funny Wes, and Johnny! The indie game devs Nolan North or Troy Baker, soon to replace both if I'm honest. Music is composed by Evelyn Locke, the Noble Demon. Originally it's supposed to be remixes of the music tracks from its inspiration in the style of the Mario Kart games and a bit of Castlevania. I haven't heard much of its soundtrack to compare, but I did listen to the track for Lady Maria and it checks out. But of course, after Sony friended the dev with a C&D, the composer changed them enough to not piss them off. But despite that, they still sound great. For controls, it's simple, but also different from usual. Since this is supposed to be like a PS1 game, I'll be using this control layout as such. X for gas, and left stick or D-pad for steering. Unusual for it is that at launch, it only had digital steering, so even a slight movement of the stick still registers as a full steer. Thankfully, it got updated with proper analog turning, which is nice. What's not nice is that unlike most PS1 races, square is not for braking, but for using your boost, which costs 5 ether. Circle is for braking, which is gonna be tough for me to get used to it. Usually that's for the handbrake and not the foot brake. L1 is for drifting, which works like in Mario Kart Double Dash onwards. If you drift long enough, you get a boost and more ether vials. Pressing 1 in the jump makes you spin, which also gives you ether. R1 is of course for using items. You can move the camera around, either with L2 and R2 like in 3D or GTA, or with the right stick like most modern racers. Despite the brake button being on the wrong spot, I still like the feel of the controls. It's so natural pressing the appropriate buttons, and the gameplay loop is as great as any kart racer thanks to some interesting bits sprinkled in. For instance, there's fodder in the way that you can run over or shoot them, which rewards you with blood upon killing them. Getting blood is a necessity as they bump out the maximum speed of your vehicle in a race. Unless you get the most droplets to win battle mode, you can only carry up to 1,000 of them. Just don't let anyone destroy it because you lose all of them if you do, especially when playing the campaign. As with any kart racer, there's power-ups you can pick up, though the selection is more unique than most. There are a few power-ups that resemble the ones from Mario Kart. The Molotov mine is like the banana, just more explosive. The blood droplets, I guess you can compare them to the coins. And Galaxy's Hand is like the blue shell, it fucks up the leader of the race. But that's where the similarities end. This also has some more unique ones, like a Nefa refill, a health pack, and this one that just rips through opponents and thundering away like a chainsaw. You can also get guns, yes! From a pistol to a lever action shotgun, yes, to even a sniper rifle and a goddamn Gatling gun, holy shit! The first two automatically aims at the closest someone in the race, while the rest need manual aiming, and none of them are hit scans, but can still be annoying to avoid. Now you might expect the AI to be a bitch to race against, but I'm actually going on a downer here. Sometimes, if you need to race is set on the hard difficulty, it can be too easy. In some tracks, you finish way ahead of the pack that it's ridiculous. Despite being based on a Souls game, this is definitely not the Dirt Rally of Souls-like fan games. Now, I thought the issue might be because I was running at 60 FPS after reading the dev's Tumblr post about fixing the opponent's handling at higher frame rates. So I did test that by limiting it to 30, glad I can do that in game, and it doesn't make much of a difference. Again, I'm playing this on hard. The rest of the tracks don't have that much of an issue, like the oval track, but it's still a disappointment to go first place, and not much happens, other than the occasional Galaxy's Hand receiving. While I was writing the script, the game got updated to fix the bad handling at higher frame rates, so does that make a difference now? Not really, it's still too easy for me. I had more fun playing the battle modes than racing. The modes are basically just standard FPS game modes retrofitted to a racing game, like death matches, capture the flag, infection, and more. They're really great, all things considered. It's more chaotic compared to racing, with respawning super weapons, health pack removal, and enemies in the arena to kill. And the AI opponents aren't as much pushovers as in races, which I like. I can see why people miss games like Twisted Metal. The character selection is varied and cheesy. The starting roster is already good. There's an old guy who races with a wheelchair, darn it! And a few unlockable ones are cheesier too. There's Nicholas, an XP of Mikolash, who literally runs as fast as others in their vehicles, like it's in Sonic R. There's a baby in their carriage. Sure. And this fella riding your boar. What more could you ask for? Oh, the main dev's persona? Yay! That's actually how you unlock her, in the cheats menu. There's also the fodder enemies you can drive as, and like the hunter, you can choose which unlocked vehicle you want. The track list is short and an advertised 20, and that's the racetracks and the battle arenas combined. I quite like them, from the Miralodia Expressway to the forest, to the clock tower, the short ass mansion room, and the sewers of all things, though I'm pretty sure I never raced this track in the campaign mode. It's also great that they have memorable bits for good reasons, like the launchpad part in Forbidden Forest, this monster in the expressway, and this mess in the clock tower track. They're so enjoyable to race on, as well as being good looking. The campaign mode is a simple and short affair. It consists of racing and battles even, with a few boss battles and cutscenes sprinkled in. This is where you unlock more characters and their cards, as well as melee weapons for campaign, each with their own stats. Despite being short, it's not terrible and doesn't put me into a frivolous rage like the last 3 games I reviewed. Helps that the races aren't too hard despite being on the hardest difficulty by default. The only bullshit thing I found is when you fight Nicholas. At first, you have to chase him and lure him into a trap. It's a 3-phase boss where the first 2 happen in cramped arenas. Shoot him till he teleports out. The first try, he didn't pack heat, but after that he does now. It's not a bad boss, I quite like it. Though not the part where you chase Nicholas on these bridges? As he talks about moon shards and where to find them. As to get to this backwards booster onto the jump, instead of just bouncing on the thing, I hit the sides and fell. And I'm wondering, did I do something wrong? Am I supposed to boost right as I jump? How did I miss? This is stupid! Do I have to use a different vehicle for this? Guess that means doing the whole thing again a bunch of times to see if any I have works. I tried the monowheel, and after 3 failed tries, one of them is me succeeding to jump, but then hitting a pillar the next, I beat Nicholas. Nice death scream that surely won't get annoying in quick battles with him. There's more to the game story, of course, like fighting shards, but the game is free to play, so why bother spoiling more? So that was Nightmare Kart. I think it's a great kart racer despite its flaws. The races are too easy at times, and the gameplay is rather short, clocking at around 90 minutes or so, but it's a free game, so I can't complain much. Plus, when you finish the campaign, you get to do it again, with your unlocked stuff carried over. Sweet! It's the opposite of Dirt Rally, it's not for everyone, but if you like some casual fun, this is the game for you. If not, don't worry, some rando will comment about how great BeamNG Drive is. Next time, Hot Pursuit 2! Again! Mostly. Oh, must be him. Stay quiet.
Hey, love.
Hi, Vincent. I wanted to meet my friends. This is Gordon, and this is...
Sophie. How nice to see you again.
Hello, Vincent.
So cold, yet a hot attitude.